I had told myself it would be quick. In and out. Drop the gifts, say hello. Let the kids hug their grandparents, leave before the old static started buzzing in my head. The kids had made the gifts themselves. That mattered to them. Construction paper folded too many times, glue visible at the seams. A jar of cookies that leaned, because the lid wouldn't screw straight. They walked ahead of me up the driveway. Like they were carrying something precious, because they were. Inside, the kitchen was already full. Coffee cups on the counter, pastries from the bakery across town. The good ones with the powdered sugar that leaves fingerprints. My sister sat at the island scrolling on her phone. My dad was at the table, newspaper open but clearly not reading it. My mom moved between stove and sink, efficient, distracted. My dad looked up first. "You really had to bring them," he said. Not loud, not angry. Like he was commenting on the weather. My sister snorted into her coffee. The kind of sound you don't bother hiding because you don't expect consequences. It was small. That's the part people miss. It was a small moment. The kind you're supposed to swallow. My son leaned into my leg and whispered. "Did we do something wrong?" I felt the familiar instinct rise, smooth it over. Translate it into something kinder. Teach him how to survive this room the way I had. I could have said, "No, Grandpa," just meant I could have lied. Instead, I crouched down so we were eye level. "No, baby," I said. They did. I stood up. I took the gifts gently from their hands and set them back into the tote bag I'd brought. I nodded once at my mom, not a challenge, not an apology. Then we turned around and walked back out. No one followed us. No one called out. The door closed behind us with a sound so ordinary it almost felt fake. In the car, my daughter asked if we were in trouble. I told her no. I told them sometimes adults forget how to be kind. And that we don't stay in places that forget that. We went for pancakes instead. The kids put syrup on everything. They laughed. They forgot. I didn't. An hour later, my phone started ringing while we were waiting for the check. Mom's name lit up the screen. I let it ring. It rang again. And again. Then a voicemail. Her voice was sharp enough to slice. "Why won't the bill go through? The card is declined. Call me now. I paid for breakfast." I buckled the kids in. I drove them home. I put on a movie and cut apples and sat on the floor with them until the credits rolled. Only then did I listen to the rest of the messages. Confusion first. Then irritation. Then panic. The thing they didn't know, what they'd never really seen, was how many quiet threads ran through their lives that started with me. Not grand gestures. Not martyrdom, practical things. The card my mom used for groceries. The auto pay I'd set up years ago when my dad's hours were cut, temporarily. The emergencies that never stopped being emergencies, because someone else was always catching them. I hadn't cut them off in anger. I'd paused it a month earlier, after another comment, another dismissal I'd pretended not to hear. I'd told myself I was just reviewing expenses. That I'd decide later. Later arrived on its own. The phone rang again. I watched it. I felt the old pull, to fix, to rescue. To explain my usefulness until it earned me a seat at the table. I didn't answer. The next call came from my sister's number. I picked up. "What the hell is going on?" she said. Her voice was tight, the humor gone. "Mom says her card isn't working." "I know," I said, "so fix it." I leaned against the counter and stared at the magnet drawings on my fridge. My kids' crooked letters. Proof of where my energy went now. "I'm not available for that anymore," I said. There was a pause, a recalibration. "Are you serious? This is because of earlier." "You're being dramatic." "I left," I said. "That's all." "You embarrassed them." "They embarrassed my kids." Another pause. I could hear my mom in the background, talking fast, her words blurring together. Systems have a way of not caring about intentions. Declined means declined. You can't just. My sister started. "I can't," I said. "And I did." She laughed, short and disbelieving. "So what, you're punishing them?" "No," I said. "I'm withdrawing." There was a sound then, a notification chime, maybe. Or the clink of a cup set down too hard. Something shifted on her end. "So what are we supposed to do?" I didn't rush to fill the silence. That was new for me. "I don't know," I said finally. "Figure it out." "Doll. You're being clear." The call ended without goodbye. Later that afternoon, my mom called again. Her voice was hoarse now, the edge dulled by exhaustion. "I don't understand why you're doing this," she said. "After everything." After everything. The phrase hung there, heavy and vague, as if it explained itself. "I understand." That's the difference. She waited for me to soften. I didn't. This isn't about money, she said. It never is, I said. Until it is. I told her I'd talk when she could talk without yelling. I told her the kids wouldn't be back until they were welcome. I told her I loved her. All true. None of it negotiable. When I hung up, my hands were shaking, not with triumph, with grief. You don't step out of a role without losing something, even when the role is hurting you. That evening, after bedtime, I sat on the couch and thought about all the times I'd stayed quiet to keep the peace. All the ways family loyalty had been defined as my flexibility, my forgiveness, my wallet. How invisible support turns into assumed access if you let it. Nothing dramatic happened after that, no apology speech, no revelation. The card stayed declined. Other arrangements were made. Stories were told about me that painted me as difficult, ungrateful, changed. I let them. My kids stopped asking why we didn't go over there as much. They noticed the difference instead, how calm our weekends were, how I laughed more easily, how no one flinched at the table. Power didn't announce itself. It settled. Quiet. Undeniable. And for the first time, when I walked away, I didn't feel like I was leaving something behind. I felt like I was taking something back.